All right, we are almost done. The very last thing we can do on our data for analysis is to insert our maximum and minimum gradients. Now, I'm going to show you how to do that. We already explained how to, or where to draw it and how to draw it. So how do you just get it on Excel and actually just draw it, have the program draw the lines for you? And we're going to show you how to do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to create two more data tables. Okay, you're going to create really small ones. You're going to create a maximum gradient data table. And you're going to have an x value and a y value, right? So really it's sine of theta and average acceleration. And we're going to, and you know what, I'm going to do that merge and center trick again. Okay, and we're going to have a minimum gradient. And we have our x column and our y column. I'm going to center everything. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to create two new series. So a series is a set of data points. So the first set of data points, or the first series, is our actual data. And we're going to create a second set of data for our maximum gradients, and it's only going to have two data points. One is going to be, let's see here, let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see what we're doing. Oops. One is going to be within this box for this maximum gradient, right? One is going to be at right down here, and the other one would be, to give you a maximum gradient, would be up in this corner here. And so we're going to put a data point here and here, and then we're going to draw a trend line just through those 2 points. And then we'll do the same for minimum gradient, except it'll be this corner and this corner. So we're going to put in two coordinates. So the coordinate for our very first one, right, we saw from our equation and from what we learned before that the coordinate for our very first one should be the original, right, the x value for this corner down here for maximum gradient should be the original x value, which is this amount here. And in fact, I'm going to show you how to do a quick equation. You can just do it in your calculator, or you can have Excel do it for you. So I'm going to say equals, and that just tells you you're going to do a formula. And I'm going to click on the cell that I want it to use. So take this number here, so 0.020, and my x variable, and I need to add on its uncertainty. So I do, whoops. So I'm going to do plus this amount right here. And when I hit enter, it did this amount plus this amount. Isn't that great? All right, now the y coordinate that corresponds is your original, whoops, y value equals your y value for the first trial, or the first, for one book. And let's see here, we want the lower corner, so we need to do minus that uncertainty. Okay, and it does that for us. And now this will give you the coordinate for that point here. And we need a second point, the one up here, so let's do that one. So we're going to do equals. We're going to pick the fifth x point, and we need to get over to here, so we need to subtract our uncertainty. Enter. We're going to do the same thing for the y, equals the y value for the last point. And then let's see here, we want it higher in the highest corner, so we're going to do plus the uncertainty. And I will highlight this information. So notice I'm going to highlight this column, and I could hold down Control and highlight this column, but since they're right next to each other, I can just highlight them both together as well. And I'm going to go to Insert. Oh, sorry, I'm not going to insert a new data. I apologize. I need to insert this data as a new series, as more points on this graph. So now that I have the data points set there, I'm going to right-click on this data, or sorry, on the chart, and I'm going to go to Select Data. And you'll notice here is this crazy looking, confusing little thing, but under here it says Series 1. And you'll notice this data here looks like this data here, which it is. So the first series is the blue points, and it's already been inserted for us. We want to add another series, so we can draw another line, I'm going to name this series maximum gradient. It says, what are the series x values? So again, I'm going to hit that red button and highlight the x values. Enter. What are the y values? Well, let me tell you, they're these ones over here. Okay, enter. And I'm just going to hit OK. And you'll notice, look, the data points, new data points have appeared at those locations. Okay, and if I right-click on this data point and do add trend line, I can get another trend line that goes through those 2 points, through the bottom corner and up to the top corner, right? And I'll make sure I select linear. And you know what? Even I've calculated my maximum gradient already, but I could even have this do it for me, and you'll see that it should be the same value. Okay, so I get this value here, do a display equation on chart. And you know, I'm going to edit this because this might be confusing. If I left it like this, the person who's reading my lab would never know what that means. And so I'm going to, I don't care about the y-intercept. I don't care about all this. I'm just going to call it, instead of y, I'm going to say, hey, look, this is my max gradient. And now I know what this number means. I don't need the x there. And I've got to round it to proper sig fig. So if I remember right, it was rounded to 2 sig figs, or 3 sig figs. Let's just double check. So maximum gradient, it's at the 3rd decimal place, and 3rd decimal place for average. So yes, this should be at 3 sig figs. So I see, all right, I've got this one correct, maximum gradient, and that's the slope of this line right here. So we're going to do now the same for the other one. It's all the same of what I just showed you. If you feel like you get it, go do it on your lab. And make sure that you have a data table and a graph done and completed. And you include your error bars, right, and your maximum gradients. If you want to see me do it one more time, you can continue the video and finish watching, and I'll demonstrate it one more time. So for minimum gradients, I'm going to do from this top corner to this bottom corner. That'll give me the shallowest slope. So I'm going to do for my x value for this point over here, I'm going to do the original, so I'm going to do equals, or I could type in the numbers, right? My original x value, but this time I want to go this way, so I'm going to minus my uncertainty, enter. For my y value, oh, you know what, did I do that wrong? Oh no, I did that okay. For my y value, I'm going to do my y variable, and I want the highest point, right? So I'm going to add my uncertainty. For the next one, I'm going to do, for the last point over here, I want the, let's see here, the lowest one over here. So I'm going to highlight my last x value. I need to add on the uncertainty. And for this last one, I need the y variable, and I need the lowest corner, so I need to subtract its uncertainty. I'm going to now put this on the graph by right-clicking on the graph, doing select data. I'm going to add a new series, right? And I'm going to give it the name minimum gradient. My x values are right here. My y values are right here. Okay. And you'll notice, look, they look like they're in the right spot. I did it right. Add that trend line. Format data series. Oops, I did that wrong. I right-click on the data point. I do add trend line. I want linear. Display equation on chart. I'll move it down here, and I will fix this information. Call it the minimum gradient. Now you still should always show your sample calculations for where these numbers come from, so that we know you know how to calculate it, even if the computer calculates the maximum minimum gradient for you. And we will round it down to the appropriate number of significant digits, which was 3. Okay, so we've now have a trend line right? And the equation for the trend line. We've got the maximum possible gradient and the minimum possible gradient. So the slope of the actual trend line is 9.76 something something. But what we're saying is the trend line could go or the slope could go all the way up to 10.5 or all the way down to 9.05. Let me also correct this sig fig. And that's what that's what the maximum and minimum gradient means. Round it. Okay, that's it. Make sure that you do very similar things on your data and your graphs, and you should be good to go.